This is Joshua Hart here for Seconds Out. Delighted today to be joined by new Matchroom signing, Pat Brown. Pat, first of all, thank you very much for your time today. We're here at a lovely setting here in Manchester. We've had some lovely lunch. A very, very big day for yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely a massive day. I wasn't expecting the way it's been planned out here. When I walked in and I've looked on the table and there's pictures of my face on the menu and stuff like that, I definitely was not expecting that. So yeah, I'm just taking it with each stride and taking for what it is, because it'll be gone tomorrow, and I'll be like, oh, I wish it was there again.
Obviously, we know that, especially listening to the way Sam Jones has spoke about you, we know that you were a fighter that a lot of promoters wanted to get the signature of. What was it about Matchroom that they sold to you that made you want to put pen to paper with them?
I think it was more like my vision and where I wanted to go. It definitely aligned with theirs, and I like how it's a family-run business. I believe they're loyal to the fighters and they're always backing the fighters no matter what. And that's no discredit to Sky or Queensbury at all. My gut feeling was just saying Matchroom, and it just seemed right. So I always think, like, if you follow your gut, it's very hard to go wrong, really.
And you'll be starting your pro career at Cruiserweight. We know that you're a heavyweight at the Olympics and throughout the amateurs, but what was it about going back down to Cruiserweight that appealed so much to you?
Well, to be honest, most people don't know this, but you've got super heavyweight as an amateur, which is obviously unlimited, whereas when I was at heavyweight, it's capped at 92 kilograms, so it's cruiserweight anyway, so there's not actually much difference between the two. If anything, it's going to be easier to make the weight as a pro, because I'm not going to have to fight on the same day as the weigh-in for consecutive days, so yeah.
And I was speaking to Sam Jones. He's got very, very high hopes for you. He said, I think one of the things he said to me was, if you're not a world champion in the next 2.5 years, then they've not done a good job for you. But for yourself, obviously, we know the amateur pedigree that you've got. We saw you at the Olympics back in the summer. How quickly do you want to be moved in this sport?
I'm kind of one of them. Whatever avenue they want me to take me down, I'll just cater to, and I fear no one, but I don't underestimate anyone at the same time. So whoever they put in front of me, I know I need to do a job, and I kind of just... Boxing can get very, blurry, and it's not really clear if you start indulging yourself in like the hype and the journey around you. I just make sure I train hard and I turn up on the night and I do my job, and as long as I focus on that, I'll get to where I need to get to, whether that's a fast route or the slow and steady route.
And we know that you will be trained by Jamie Moore and Nigel Travis. I'm sure you've got a bit of a longer history with Nigel Travis than what people will probably know. But what is it about them as trainers that made you decide to go, yeah, do you know what, I already know them, let's stick with them going into the pro ranks? What was it that made you go with them two?
It's probably obviously I joined Moss Side Fire when it was just after lockdown, so Nigel's known me since a kid anyway, and he took me under his wing just before I got onto GB, so I've known him very well, and he's took me to the pro gym every so often, so I got familiar with that stable of fighters. And in terms of the gym itself, it's a very family sort of feel. Everyone knows each other on a deep level, and there's no sort of fakeness. You just know what you get, so that's a massive thing for me, just loyalty and feeling comfortable where I train. And obviously Jamie Moore, he's got a fan favourite style that definitely similar to mine, so that really gels with me also.
And just moving away from yourself, but looking at some of the big things going on, obviously we know you're at Cruiserweight. We saw a huge fight back in Riyadh a few weeks back now between Zurdo Ramirez and Chris Billam-Smith, and where Zurdo Ramirez put on a bit of a masterclass, I guess you could say, in what was a very competitive fight against Chris Billam-Smith. A lot of talk now about Zurdo Ramirez versus Jai Opetaia, almost a fantasy fight at that weight, it seems. Who do you back in that fight between those two?
Oh, probably Opetaia, really. I've always rated him. He's obviously had a really good amateur pedigree, and he's awkward, he's fast, he's strong, and yeah, he's probably the number one cruiserweight at the moment in my opinion, so I'll back him.
There was one question on yourself that did pop out my mind there, which is why we switched, but I remember it now, so we're going to go back to it. Obviously, your time as an amateur is now over, and you are making this big change to the pros, but how do you reflect on your amateur days, and more importantly, your time on the GB team?
Yeah, it's your apprenticeship, it's your foundation, the amateur game, so I've definitely reached the limit, and I've experienced everything I needed to experience in the amateur game. In terms of GB, I swooped in and I swooped out. When I qualified for the Olympics, it only took me 2 years to do that, which I was very fortunate at doing, but also it's hard work as well, so I'm happy with the way my amateur career's gone, and now it's time to get under the big bright lights and go for it as a pro.
How excited are you to put on big nights in Manchester? If we look out the window, you can see the Co-op Live Arena over in that direction. I know I was putting my hand in front of the camera, I didn't mean to do that. But Manchester's a big boxing city, and talking to Jamie Moore, he feels in the next 5-10 years, Manchester boxing is going to be booming again. Do you feel you're going to be the centrepiece to Manchester boxing booming again?
I think I'll definitely be a massive part of it. There's some great fighters in Manchester, and we could definitely do some great things here in the amazing city on a massive card. And being able to kind of, be a part of the massive Manchester Nights, it will be a dream come true, because it really is a great city with great loyal fans who get behind the fighters.
And again, just moving away now, let's look at the heavyweight division. There's it's an exciting period over in that division. There's so many big fights going on. One in particular at the end of the month, at the end of December, we see Usyk versus Fury, two stablemate of yours now, Dave Allen, also on that card. First of all, how excited are you to see Dave Allen get such a big opportunity to fight in Riyadh?
Yeah, it's really nice. Dave Allen's getting a massive opportunity. He's a proper down-to-earth lad, and he's training for this fight. I know he always says he doesn't train for his fights, but he's definitely training for this fight, and it'll be an entertaining one against Johnny Fisher for sure. There's going to be fireworks, and it's a decent fight. I know people are quite, spectacle about it, but it's a decent fight in the making there. And in terms of Fury and Usyk, I've always been a fan of both fighters massively. Obviously Usyk's an unbelievable technician, and so is Fury, just a bigger version. I do think going into this second one, like Fury did amazing the first one, but I felt like Tyson definitely could have done better, and that's not me writing Usyk off whatsoever. I respect him massively, but in terms of Fury, I think if he brings his A game, he's in for a treat definitely for that night.
Looking at Daniel Dubois, it's almost like the world's his oyster at the moment. A lot of names out there from obviously Joseph Parker being the front runner. How does that one go?
I think Dubois, I think he's got that momentum now, and he's got the confidence, because from the start of his career, when he was fighting Joe Joyce and stuff like that, I just think he's a different sort of animal now, and I'll be siding with Dubois, but that's not writing off Joseph Parker. I think he's an incredible fighter. He's game, he's entertaining, and that's also a massive, great fight to look forward to.
Well, Pat, I'm going to leave it there since my head has clearly gone after saying Joshua versus Parker for some reason. I'm not sure why, but appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing the pro debut. I believe, from what Sam and Jamie have said, about March time. Is that correct?
Yeah, end of March it's looking like, and thanks for having me on, mate, and I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Perfect, Pat. Thank you very much.
Thank you.